So, after doing lots of theater music and music for films, I really wanted to do the thing where everything comes together. So, opera. I choose a theme, Das Kreuz der Verlobten. That's a story that really happened in the region where I live. I did it also because I know with microtonal music that it will be difficult to have a larger audience. So that's why when I needed to have a completely sold out concerts to pay the musicians and everything like that. That's why I choose that theme, but we didn't use the theme just in the first dimension, also in other dimensions. But let me read a little bit. So it's about a fair in Dsilton, that's a small village near where I live, in summer, August 1870. A band plays from morning until late at night. 24-year-old Marie Solheit watches the hustle and bustle. Marie has no ambitions and no interest to dance when suddenly a man, François, arrives and enters the scene and asks her to dance. What is interesting, the singer, he studied here in Salzburg, Jean was singing. It is love at first sight, and she agrees to marry him. The thundering of the weather changes into a scream. That's also one thing. We took one person for the weather. Act 2, Café Mix in Dsilton in 1871. Sunny, ice-cold winter day. Marie and François have planned to meet in Café Mix in the morning to pick up Marie's wedding papers in Hofre. François is late. Marie's brother, Lambert, tries to dissuade Marie from the idea of traveling through the snow in the high fence. High fence, maybe I have to explain, it's something like nowadays natural park. It's like a moor, really large. And at that time it was something really difficult to travel because there were no roads or something like that. Lambert can't change their decision. They even won't provide at least some provisions. So Act 3, the way. It's snowing in the high fence. The goddess of weather, guardian of snow and ice, enjoys the cold and waits impatiently for the arrival of the enamored couple. Marie and François are enchanted by the beauty of the white moor and starts to romp in the snow. But under the ice there is a deadly danger. Then we had the intermission, the storm. The goddess of weather rages and produces an icy snowstorm. The landscape has lost its loveliness and has turned into a deadly trap. The couple suddenly has some doubts about their plan. It is too late for a return. Blind and frightened, they sink into the mass of snow until the weather separates them from each other. Proudly, the goddess of weather stands in front of François. She has great plans for him, if he only knew. In faith, to save his beloved, François makes a decision. Now the weather knows no mercy. 2 months later, start of spring. The snow has melted, the air is warm, and the first spring flowers cover the bog. Lambert, gone mad, so Lambert is the brother, gone mad of the loss of his sister, is wandering through the snow-covered high fence and calls Marie's name. An inconspicuous figure offer him consolidation, but Lambert recognized the coldness of the murderess. he decides to plant a cross for Marie and François as a sign and a memorial for all who underestimate the weather in this region. The bitter fate of François and Marie and their union on this place even today draws many visitors to the cross of the engaged. So about the microtones. It gets cold a little bit.
You can switch it off.
Or you can turn it around so it blows the wall.
Like that. Because it's only for me, I think.
Maybe the microphone is too disturbs.
Yes.
It's as old as the high fence.
Yes. So I used, in the beginning, when I planned the opera, I wanted to use the 72 equal division. I made some tests with musicians I was going to play with, but and I used also a program called Melodyne to see what they are doing, in fact. And apart from the specialists, that was the violin player and some flute players, especially the ratios 6/5 and things like that, they were not correct. So in the end, I decided to use only ratio 7/4. With that notation here, I always use the arrows and then the quarter tone notation. Plus some, in the score also some ratios. And then also the 11th harmonic. So primary intervals I get are these here. I can play them, but you, of course, you know them. So on maybe the last one, 11/9. I call them primary intervals because I use also the possibility to go one whole tone higher with one of the notes, and then I have a new interval, of course, that I don't have in the, necessarily in the overtone series. So, for the score, maybe first the composition process. So in September 2015, commission for the libretto. So I asked somebody to write something. It was Nicole Erbe. In February 2016, pre-composition. Why pre-composition? Because I knew from theater that a lot of things changes during the rehearsals. So things are not done in the end, some phrases, no, it's too long or something like that. That's why I used pre-composition before doing everything. Then we had in June 2 weeks with the singers, director and piano. I played myself piano, so it's not microtonal, but at least we had a feeling for the timing and everything like that. Development of the piece. In July, detailed composition. I did it like that. I took a video of the last rehearsals. Then I knew exactly how long it takes to go from there to there for that one, or how long does the dialogue takes. That's why we took a video, and then I could transcribe it a little bit and add things if I wanted. October rehearsal with the final notation with the orchestra. Then in December the singers received the recording with the orchestra, so they could learn it with the sound of the orchestra. And in January 2017, first rehearsals with the orchestra, and the premiere was in February. And I had also a collaboration with a painter, Mark Kirschfink from Cologne. I did it already 2 years ago because I'm also in a free improvisation ensemble, and then we are sometimes working with painters, and it worked very good. And I can see also some kind of musical figures in his works. So we first, when I work with him with my improvisation quartet, we use the pictures as they are. And now what I did a sketch, and I gave it to him, make a picture out of it. So then it's my composition, in fact, but graphical notation. So the foreground, outsourcing all non-pitch parameters and lyrics to the paintings. This gives the music the desired improvised character. I want to have that improvised character. Under the picture, you can see it a little bit now, but of course it should be a little bit larger. They have also a kind of traditional notation for the pitches. So it's a mix of improvisation, but pitches are written there without rhythm. Yes, and they have also 4 different colors: red, green, blue and black. That means sometimes a violin player has blue and then changes, he gets green or something like that. The background is also important because the painter asked me, what do we do with the background? We have something in the foreground. Background, so I found that I don't need to write anymore something like slowly or calm, confurio or something like that. I use the colors. There is also some research had been done a lot about it, like Paul Ekman, about emotions, and I combine it with the color psychology. So I used rose, violet, red, black, blue, brown and green for the different situations in the opera. So the musicians have a suggestion. Maybe I don't need to say anything. If something is green, it has to do something with interest, being amazed, surprised. If it's something blue, it has to do something with fear, something like that. Then I made myself a grid, and that means one page is 40 seconds, and I can make the divisions as I want. I can change it. So, in fact, one possibility would be 10 measures, and then inside I have another possibility to change all those things. In tempo 60, yeah. And then made it like that, sketched it, and made the score underneath. And this sketch I always gave to the painter, who had to do something real visual art with it. And as I said already, in a collaboration with actors and director, the timing is very important. I recorded everything with video, and I had to know how do I represent it in this, how do I say, not spatial notation, but there's one word for it. Proportional notation. In fact, it's proportional notation. Yeah. So I used the time formula, and I asked somebody to make a program for me. I just give A tempo per quarter note, then B number of measures, C numerator, and D measure denominator, and then I could calculate then how long it will be when I paint it, things like that. And he programmed something for me. I wanted to put it on the website, but he didn't finish it. But it's I did it also in Excel. In fact, it's only calculation. I think you can do it also in Open Music, but as I don't use Open Music, I had to find my own way. And then you can invert it also if you need to know the tempo. If you were to work with pulse or something, you can find it like that. I'm too fast. Now you can take the picture. Yeah. Yes, I said that already. So here like that you can calculate it with Excel or with a program written for it. So, some examples. So in the beginning, I just wanted, also for the musician, a kind of a tutorial, because they were not all experts in microtonal music. In the beginning, like in a computer game nowadays, you have always a tutorial to learn. Without an explanation, I just make a presentation of the overtones, and they can hear directly what's that and that ratio.
But do we have a torture wire?
Tutorial?
Tutorial. Ah, sorry, my English.
I heard something really scary.
Ah, sorry. Yeah, that's true. So that's, you see, some people have to play blue, others green, others red. And then underneath for the conductor we have also always that representation. And now you see it here in a video. Also how the musicians see it on their laptop.
So we're on stage, and the audience is behind the conductor?
No. They are sitting, how to say, no, they are seeing the conductor and the musicians are with their back to the public.
Okay.
Do they have a normal music notation or do they play the graphic score?
Graphic, and underneath they have a normal notation for the pictures. And other information like ratios and things like that. Ratios, and then sometimes I write violin is playing that, and you have to play 11ths to that note or something like that. Information like that. Okay, then I did some games with it, in fact. So I don't use any scales, I just use mostly intervals. Like here, a coupling, violin flute moving by whole tone up, and violin cello moving down by semitone, and they're playing always ratio 11:1. You can see here the violin 2 has red notes and the viola has green notes they have to play. Okay, you can see also for the singers, I don't use all the time, sometimes I write also for them pictures, but they have also that notation I found on John Cage's Fontana mix and aria. So it's kind of shapes I'm giving. So they have to improvise a lot about it, but they have also underneath sometimes pitches. But they have a lot of freedom. So same situation with offbeat, so I'm a lot in jazz music, and it's kind of, there are also musicians from jazz playing with, so it's kind of rhythm and pulse also sometimes inside that music.
Ein Mädchen, scheinst du mir nicht mehr zu sein. Und ehrenhaft mag ich dich zu sagen. Und einem ehrenhaften Mädchen kommt ein solcher Gedanke gar nicht erst in den Sinn.
Wer bist du, dass du es wagst, für beleidigende Mittel für dich zu sagen? Schwere Wörter.
Wer bist du, dass du mir dergleichen tust? Oder war das ein Kompliment?
Yeah, also clouds, so just I use those clouds for intervals and chords I produce with those primary and secondary intervals.
Wie lautet deine Antwort?
Ich bin mir nicht sicher, was du fragtest.
Marie, willst du mit mir leichten Fußes der Welt ertrotzen, bei Wind und Sturm?
Aside also as just a gesture.
Nein, beim besten Willen nicht, ich verbiete es dir.
Wozu? Allerdings bin ich zu alt, auf dich zu hören, Brüderchen.
Marie, es hat gefroren.
Ach, tatsächlich. Wie soll es dir als Kristalle mit
I
Diamanten?
used also the glass, sound of the glass was my inspiration. We had two glasses and then I had that sound. These possibilities, in fact, that comes from from those two glasses, and they are producing that. And then they had the possibility to scratch on it, and it's doop, 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 doop. So it comes everything from experimentation with the musicians also. Some things are pre-composed, and some things come from the rehearsals and experimentation. Yes, and complete chords in new relation. So the overtones or the ratios or the overtones can become also a new basis for new chords, and I combined them, so you have a kind of poly modality or poly microtonality.
Lass uns niemals in Tönen sehen, ein
Okay, microtonal cluster. That comes a lot from, of course, inspiration also by composers like Penderecki. I'm really inspired also by that kind of microtonal composers, microtonal clusters, and things like glissando is also for me some kind of microtonal, of course.
Komm heraus! Ich setz dir die Verwandtschaft auf den Hals! Marie, Liebste, komm! Es ist schon spät, der Schnee fällt dichter und es dämmert schon. Wir sollten gehen, verfluchter Schnee.
The director, regisseur, asked me always, yes, you want to have something like a windspiel. So it's something you have typical for the wind when it comes, you have something like that's making a noise, that's kind of an instrument. He wanted to have something because in the beginning of the acting, they have that as a symbol of their love. So they wanted to have also something in the music like that. That's my representation of the windspiel. Yes?
You mean wind chimes?
In fact,
These tubular bells that move with the wind.
yes, in fact that. Yeah.
Okay.
But in fact, it's everything in German that has to do. There are also other windspiele. But in fact, what I wanted to do is wind chimes. In fact,
Okay.
that's true. But there's also other windspiele.
Sing das. Ewige sind gefroren, alte des Funkels sein. Nein, vor uns beeilen, hopp, wir entladen.
So in fact, that's always something like the glissando going into one note that's long. And I try to create chords with it. One note is there, one is appearing, and the other one is disappearing, and we have a new construction on it with the long notes that are staying. Some are staying and some are left like that. And then we have in the beginning always that glissando. It's kind of a musical gesture. It's also here of that same idea.
Würde ich zumindest mir stimmen.
Nimm vor mir alles.
Also other variation, but I don't think I have the time for the complete things. There are 80 examples I have here. Other examples of Windspiel. So that idea of the same idea in different ways. Another variation. Then of course, now we are arriving at the second part. I start with a free microtonal texture. Also improvisation, so they can use what they want. It's kind of a texture for the singer. And the same idea, one note stays, the other one comes, we're building a chord, one is disappearing, and so on. There was another idea of something growing, and I used in fact something like a fourth quarter tone scale. So octave and a semitone divided in 10. And always harmonized. Now we're going with the highest note. Yes, that's the thing also, working with fingers. I didn't imagine it, but in fact, they, more than instrumentalists, they are so much trained in tuning, so to find really the right notes, it's really much harder than for instrumentalists to sing microtonal. So that was one thing. So in fact, really to work with singers for microtonality, you have really to take specialists. That's one thing. So that's why I see the textures I'm producing with the orchestra, microtonal, and over that free improvisation of the singers. So maybe the last thing, because I don't know. Do I have time or no? It's quite over.
A bit more you have still.
So the last example.
15 minutes.
Okay, then I can show a few examples. So the other example here is also one note enters, coming together, and then we have the new note only. Not everything is correctly played, there are only 5 rehearsals.
Was willst du denn, dass ich dir geben könnte, wenn dir mein Leben nicht genügt?
Letztendlich, kurz und quälend, die Menschen prüfen und ertragen sie nur.
Nicht jeder, denn in manchen Stunden erhält man Lohn. Glückseligkeit durch einen andern, so wie es mir geschah, als ich Maria blickte. Dies kannst du nicht erfahren, solch Liebe ein Geschenk der Götter, ist nur Liebenden vergönnt.
Another thing was also, I wanted to do that because when I was in Indonesia, I wanted in fact to have a complete chromatic gong set. I bought one because it was over 6 kilo already. But this one I just wanted to represent. And as I had the possibility now in that opera, the gong I wanted to have also kind of a representation, only with a chamber music orchestra. It's not so good as with the symphony orchestra, of course, but then I just calculated the pictures and used that also. Maybe the last thing, the Trauermarsch. So it's also something with pulse, so things are without, and here we have really, really slow. The director asked me to have something like a real slow atmosphere, and I tried to create it. Thank you very much.
much, Mr. Klinkenberg. Very impressive. And the paintings must be, I reckon, very inspiring for the improvisation of the musicians and for the singers. And that is my question. You said that the instrumentalists have this texture of microtonal sounds or pitches, and you said that the singers have at times a lot of freedom in their, because they improvise.
Mm-hmm.
But are they still meant to sing special pitches? Because, for instance, I know Jean Bermes because he studied here.
Yes.
And I think he has perfect pitch. He used to have, I don't know. So, because he said you need special singers. So, did you expect them to find this note when they improvise, or is it
Yes,
like
in fact, we
anything
did a
goes?
casting, that's true. We
Sorry?
did a casting,
Yeah.
and I did improvise with them together.
Yeah.
So I asked, they didn't need to have, they needed to be interested in microtonality, but they needed to be able to find signals from the orchestra, so like pitches, find them directly, know what to do on it. So if I write for them, now you have to play over the orchestra fourth or something like that. And they needed to be open, but they didn't need. So I gave always help with the orchestra. I wrote in the score, violin playing that and that, and that's your orientation. So they didn't need to have perfect pitch or perfect microtonal.
Yeah. That's
So they are helped by the orchestra.
Okay, so any questions from yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
According to the score, I suppose that every rehearsal was a little bit different than the previous one, and if the piece is performed again, you have a different performance as well. And does this concern you? Is it what you want, or do you want to make a very specific piece from the audio that you have from the premiere of the piece? Or
No, in fact, I like it a lot if there are new things at every performance. That's the thing I don't like. Maybe I can't say something about. Always this, we have always the same romantic concerts. It's a little bit different in the performance and things like that. And I like it if there are a lot of surprises. If I can go twice, 3 times to a concert and there are a lot of surprises. And that's why I'm completely open to changes. But of course there are some things that should be correct. And I know also that there is a lot more to work, but of course it's always a financial problem. As I said, only possibility to rehearse together. No, together with the singers only twice. Twice, 2 hours.
Oh.
Because it's really financial thing. They come from there, and then we have the singers, we have one from Italy, and so they're asking me, can you play me the plane or something like that. So it's really difficult to have a lot of rehearsals together. So that's maybe also a reason why I'm so open. Maybe it could be more precise, but I'm happy with it. Now we play in July in the end, and it will be completely different, because the musicians had time, 6 months to think about it, to have other experiences.
Forget everything.
They forget everything, for sure. What do you mean with that and that? And I think the performance will be completely different.
But is the timing and orchestration the same?
That will stay the same, because we have the video.
That scrolls.
That scrolls. One picture is 40 seconds, and the pictures are one after the other. I did it with Adobe Premiere, so I had the possibility. I used Finale for the score underneath, and I put it together as pictures, and then it always we have always the same tempo.
Okay.
But there is freedom inside, because that's why I choose to have also a conductor. He can decide to be slower. We have always that line here, but only for the director. The others don't have that line here. They are free. Maybe sometimes the conductor is here. So we have the freedom to go a little bit faster, or sometimes slower, because the singers have to sing without the score, of course. They have to know it by heart. And sometimes they're a little bit, they can't hear where are we exactly, and then the conductor can follow them sometimes. And then we have some points where we can catch them. Yes?
Didn't you say that the pitches the orchestra have to play are underneath the picture?
Yes.
That's true.
So if there's this, maybe this axicrat where the chords are moving in and out of each other, they have to know when the chord begins and which chord.
Yes, that's why I worked also with numbers. Sometimes you see it. Sometimes I have 1 to 5, because 5 fingers. So I have, sometimes the director makes something we know 2, and then we are in the 3rd chord. So everybody knows it like that. So that are things we discovered when working together. So we had really intensive collaboration with the conductor. So in the beginning I didn't have it, and that was the problem.
It's a very interesting conception of time and the freedom of the interpretation, because traditionally it's completely the opposite. You have the notes, you have something you have to do precisely, but it's never the same, and especially the tempo. So here is completely the opposite.
But it's also a must, because
yes,
because they have pages of 40 seconds, and they have all the same pictures, and they can't turn the pages, otherwise we would have every 40 seconds a break.
There is, yeah.
Well, if I understood correctly, the picture paintings is just for musicians, right? It's not for the audience.
That's true. That's not for the audience, the 4 first concert. And then when I talked again to the painter, he told me, so I was not enough featured in that thing. Would it be possible that the audience, and it's also the audience that asked me, would it be possible that we see also the pictures? But the problem is, of course, the director don't want to have the concentration on the pictures. They want to have the concentration on the acting. So it's always, opera is a lot of compromises. Yes.
There are 2 more questions. I don't know who was first. Maybe you were, Elena?
Only technical, I didn't understand. How do they distribute the time or the gestures in the 40 seconds that you analyze? You get a picture, a frame is 40 seconds, yes?
Yes, and it's going like on left. It's always going from right to the left, continuously.
And in 40 seconds you get the other image.
Yes, but in fact it's going directly. It's not changing. It is constantly moving.
So where exactly is the musician, for example, in second 25 of the picture? Can you show me on the... Let's say that you have this picture and it's 40 seconds. Where are you in second 25?
So in fact, this year, all the pictures are in fact only the possibility how to do it, because they are not seen as pictures, they are together. In fact, we can't see what is a picture because they fit together, like a puzzle.
Oh, it's like a film that is running,
Yeah.
so you don't have separate pictures.
So in fact, I painted it, I sketched it like a picture, but in fact they fit together. You don't see that there are different pictures. It's only for me to know it for the program. I put this, and the sliding takes 40 seconds, and the second picture is already sliding together with it, and like that. And that was also complicated for me because I never worked with a video program. I had to learn that first. And that took a few months.
That was torture and a tutorial.
But it's
sorry, you have a little list. You want to ask a question, no? And you? You forgot it?
No, I thought you could just put it in a folder, the pictures, maybe. Then it's not as... maybe a folder you give to the audience, then they don't concentrate on the pictures too much.
So of course there's a lot of during the opera, because of the financial thing, I couldn't pay the painter. So what I said, you can all those pictures you painted, there is an exhibition. There is also now in Aachen next month in the Ludwig Forum, so it's a really fantastic museum, international museum, and then he has the chance to make an exhibition in such a great museum and to sell the paintings also. So they have the possibility to see it, but not exactly when it's happening. But now we found a possibility. They are projecting it on somewhere where the audience can see it. So it will be done.
Okay, so you have this question, and then back to it.
Okay. My question is, in your talk, I saw at least two sources for microtonality, because in the former talks, from my point of view, as I understood, because I'm a new person in this community, like intervallic approach is the main approach.
Yes.
But in your work, I see that for instrumentalists, it's like intervallic approach is the main. But when you speak about singers, I think that I listen that it's like melodic approach is main, because even when we speak, we always intonate, and our sound is high and low and so on and so forth. So for me, it's like basis for our richness of our hearing, and that's why microintervallic music is now so important. And if we will look in the deep past, we will see that conception of sound was also not note, but sound is a sport sound with flexible bodies and so on and so forth. So for you, intervallic approach, for me, it's like divisive approach. Melodic approach, it's like continuous and very flexible approach. What is main approach for you in your musical history, or you cannot identify? So it was like movement on both sides. Mm-hmm. If I said understand you.
So in this composition, it is true. It's a really intervallic approach and mostly vertical approach. Mm-hmm. But before I did a lot of experiments in different tuning systems, melodic. So I can't say like that. I'm only that and only that. Mm-hmm. So, but for this opera, of course, it's something that's developing with the singers. I had some ideas in the beginning. As I said, I wanted to do something with 72, but of course, in 72 you need to correct the thirds because of the ratios, and that is something for the musicians. If they never did it, very complex. So they are completely out of concept if I tell them, yes, but the third you always played is in fact not correct, but in fact they make already correction by ear. So in fact they didn't know, do I have to play it lower now? So I think you have really to work that. So all the things is compromises and development in composition over 2 years.
Anything?
No, I think I have an answer.
Yeah?
Thanks.
Okay, so it's 6 o'clock exactly. Maybe one more question, of course. No. So I say thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're ready. Hello everybody. We're happy to be here to present parts of our ensemble's repertoire.
We are the ensemble Dsilton. This is Georg Vogel and my name is Dornig, as you already heard.
We want to talk about composing in just intonation, 31 equal temperament, and quarter common mean tone temperament.
And how to implement this on our instruments. Now this is a 31 note equally tempered guitar, which I built myself. And
as well as on the keyboards I use, this is an electric string keyboard instrument called clavinet. This is a Rhodes electric piano and a digital synthesizer.
So, we're now going to play for you a piece by Georg, a short piece. You can see it up on the screen. It's called Dusche.
Just heard is derived from a transcription of a Western African balafon kind of instrument. I'll use this clavinet for the transcription. It can be easily tuned by ear, and the notes and the intervals I was transcribing from this recording, all based on whole number ratios, based on the prime numbers of 2, 3, 5, and 7. So 7 is the limit of complexity. As we know, the harmonic series can be subdivided into the multiples of each prime number. In this case, 2, 3, 5, and 7. As a starting point for tuning this, the basic grouping of the piece, which I'm going to demonstrate now, I'm tuning a C.
Perfect.
I'm almost ready to tune the C. So the middle C, I'm using the middle C of 31 equal temperament. The C is the most important note of this grouping, and it's bass, so it should be identical with the guitar, since David uses 31 frets per octave on his guitar. So the first category of prime numbers ratios I want to use for the first intervals I'm going to tune. I've already tuned, but now look if you're still in tune, is based on the prime number 3 and 2 to tune fifths. So the term fifths, the term of fifth does refer to a fifth note of a scale, not to the fifth harmonic and its multiples. So the fifth note of a scale constructed by using the ratio 1.5, which is 3 to 2, stacked, and retransposed to create the just intonation Pythagorean scale with whole tones and semitones. So what's the criterion to say whether an interval is tuned pure, almost pure, or definitely tempered? We need to look for the beatings and the intensity of the beatings on the interval. If they're getting to zero or minimizing, then the interval is closer to the just intonation ratio. If the intensity of the beats is it's more intense, then the deviation is bigger. So what I tried is to minimize the beats as close as possible. But there's also a technical aspect when tuning the clarinet, because there's direct contact between the key and the string. Each time I'm tuning, I'm trying to have the same intensity of attack, to have the same pitch. Yeah. So I just used one ratio for tuning and got some resulting intervals. As you can see in the overview, I've tuned only 3 to 2. Then transposing the F up an octave, getting this, and that what I want to show is that there are always resulting intervals when tuning pure ratios. In this case, 4 to 3 and 9 to 8, both based on the prime numbers of 3 and 2. As a next step, I tuned a septimal 3 times, septimal interval 3 times. So by ear. A basic septimal interval is the flattened -7 with its ratio of 7 to 4. It sounds like this. Very close. Approximated by the 31 equal tempered guitar. Now the question occurs, how to notate septimal intervals? How to visualize septimal intervals? Since they are not part of the whole tone semitone system of Pythagorean tuning, nor of 12 equal tuning. The method I use, as we can already see, is via the enharmonic change, referring to the mean quarter common mean tone temperament. So quarter common mean tone temperament shows a very close approximation to 7 to 4 as an augmented 6. The augmented 6 of quarter common mean tone temperament is only deviating about 1/8 of a centonic comma. That's about 2.5 cents of 12 equal, with a slight beating. 31 equal temperament is even closer to the just intonation ratio.
Less than 1 cent.
So the speciality of mean tone temperament is that a ratio described by an interval's name is fully transposable. So if I now want to tune more of this ratio, I just need to transpose the interval's name to another base, to another note. And I want to be the C, which I used as a base before, to be the harmonic 7th of a new note I want to tune. To visualize this, I just need to go down from C an augmented 6th. And then I get E double flat, enharmonically correctly, within the notation system of quarter common mean tone temperament. And And the third one of this, below the G, again the same ratio, and I've made that 6 below G to have a B double flat. In the next overview, we can see all the notes tuned so far. Again, we use just I just used just two different ratios, 1.5 for the 3-to-2 ratio and 8-to-7, meaning the same octavely transposed like to 7-to-4. And again, we can see that we tuned just using two ratios and got some resulting intervals such as 21-to-16 and the smallest 49-to-48, which is the first microtone to be tuned. The sharper one is the A sharp, and the flatter one, the B double flat. One being the septimal 7th for C, and the one the septimal 7th below G. So the third category of harmonics I want to use before we can play the transcription is based on the prime number 5. So the base of quarter common mean tone temperament is the ratio 5-to-4 to show the major third. Again, enharmonically correct in everywhere where we want to tune the ratio 5-to-4 displayed as a major third. We want the major third below the E double flat. So the major third, as I said, is the base of quarter common mean tone temperament, and it's very, very well approximated by 31 equal temperament. With a very tune. So this is the whole overview of all the notes required for the transcription, for the arrangement of the transcription. Just adding two more notes on top of our grouping. A B sharp with the approximate mean tone, whole tone ratio above the A sharp and the whole tone above the B double flat. Yes, so now we are almost ready to play the last overview. I want to show the deviations referring to the quarter common mean tone systems. So the deviations are shown in parts of a comma. Since quarter common mean tone temperament gets its tempered value from a part of a comma, the quarter comma, it's a logical step to show all deviations in parts of a comma. Syntonic comma. And we can see the fourths and fifths to have a deviation about exactly a fourth of a comma. Then the septimal intervals to have the deviation of approximately an eighth of a comma. And when both values are doubled, it's 3/8 of a comma, which is about 7.5 cents of 12 equal. That's the biggest deviation between the now purely tuned clavinet by ear and the tempered system of 31 equal temperament, which is used on different tones.
Just closing.
Yeah.
Otherwise my board is
cool.
Sorry. Escape und dann das Zilton. So we're gonna leave the dia show on the chart of the piece that we're going to play.
Warte mal. Ah nein, das passiert. Das war eben Ding. Oder ganz so. Do you want me to turn the pages or something?
It won't be in sync.
Okay.
It won't be in sync, but you get an idea. So.
also was extended, and I was exploring this grouping to find more sounds, and I found some thirds in this grouping and some kind of thirds. Actually, 3 categories of thirds. It was just adding one new note from the C double flat, a perfect fourth above, to have a F double flat. And starting from the F double flat, I was exploring the notes I was tuning before from the transcription, looking for thirds, and found some thirds, like this. This. All thirds can be described by the ratios of based on the brain numbers of 2, 3, 5, and 7. But they're so close to other prime numbers intervals that we can hear actually 16 to 13. Although I was only using prime number 2, 3, 5, and 7. But it's so close that only this about is fascinating. So we want to go on with a composition, except of a composition which developed out of the extension, and it's about the thirds, and it's called Ucis Gesol in Festes.
Now, the error of a physically vibrating instrument has to be considered when working with in microtonal space with intervals smaller than a quarter tone. For instance, the electric guitar has an error caused by the amplitude of the string alone. So if I play an open string fortissimo, we have it is up to 20 cents sharp at the beginning of the note. So it only reaches within a second its target pitch. Even, of course, we have to consider that the instrument might become out of tune due to humidity change or temperature, or even if it's an intense passage at the beginning of a piece, the guitar might be ever so slightly out of tune for the rest of it. Now, so also the timbre of the instrument is really relevant when it comes to a sound sounding in tune or consonant. And there's an interesting book by William A. Savage called Tuning Timbre, I'm sorry, I have to get it right, Tuning Timbre Spectrum Scale, wherein he asked what is the relationship between a sound and the interval, scale or tuning in which the sound appears in tune. So, let me get this excerpt for you. There we go. And in this he shows a real octave and a pseudo octave, so it's like maybe like that. And because of the sound he used, which had kind of a bell-like, electric maybe timbre, the octave was perceived as dissonant, while the pseudo octave, which had a ratio of 2.1 to 1, was perceived as consonant. So, how pure an interval sounds in tune is also heavily dependent on the timbre of the instrument. So we have to consider when working with real instruments the physical limits of tuning stability in the relation of timbre and tuning, and of course the octave in which an interval resonates, because a complex interval won't resonate well at lower frequency rate, so in a lower octave. Of course, stringed instruments are far less problematic when it comes to the timbre, but even they do a double octave, maybe a large interval, will sound more in tune and resonate well if it's slightly sharp. So that has to be considered. Now, I want to talk about some aspects of compositions of mine which are in our repertoire. And one of them is the use of serialism, or a strict concept, which can be found in most of my pieces. This might concern the rhythmic structure, the harmony, and most often the melody. So it makes creating and finishing a part easier for me by narrowing down the possibilities from unlimited to only a few. I like this kind of puzzle-solving composing experience, actually. I'm really guilty of breaking concept for a more musically appealing note choice, or something that is easier to play but sounds just as good. But as you can imagine, the most obvious kind of serialism I use is tone rows, of course. And in a recent piece of mine, I used it's really small, isn't it? You can see the row up there. It's a 31 notes tone row, and the piece is called Malend in Neon, which it's an anagram of the name of the loved one, and it translates to painting in neon. And the tone row is as follows. So we've got 1, 2. The tone row is arranged in groups vertically. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There we are with the out of tune because of intense passages. And so on. So it goes. And then we've got. in a rhythmically more precise context, that would be. Now, although you've just heard a tone row repeated twice, I view the chords which result in grouping the tone row vertically as approximation of whole number ratios. For instance, we've got the third chord of Marlin de Neon, which would be this one. There we go. So we've got our fundamental D, and again, this is just part of the tone row, but we've got the fundamental D, and then we've got its seventh partial, or the approximation in 31 equal temperament, which is really close, less than 1 cent. And then we've got a major sixth, which has the ratio 10 to 3 in relation to the fundamental. So that's 5 to 3, but an octave apart. And I visualize this as the major third is so perfect in 31 equal temperament, I visualize it as the perfect fourth of the major third. And then we've got the deviation because of the fourth, which is 5 cents sharp, and still resonates 10 to 3 with beating, so it's alright. And then we've got a fourth, which is kind of a pseudo fourth, because as you can hear, it's not perfect fourth, which is the perfect fifth of the seventh partial. And last but not least, we've got our perfect fifth. And this is also slightly flat in 31 equal temperament, but because I play it as a harmonic, because of the physics of the string, it's not that bad. It's like 3 cents. It's not. So that's the way I visualize the chord, although it's just a part of the tone row. Now, you might have noticed the use of quarter tone accidentals in my chart. For me, it was important that the notation represents the tonal function a note has in my head. So, for instance, the seventh partial can be notated, as we already stated, as an augmented sixth. For my fingers and my ear, in most contexts, it just has the tonal function, if we're talking about a whole tone, half tone system with scales. It has this tonal function of a 7. So I wanted to notate it as a 7, so I used the quarter tone accidentals in addition to the standard enharmonic notation to depict notes as different intonations of an interval. So we've got our minor 7, and then we've got the 7th partial, a flat minor 7. This using quarter tone accidentals with 31 equal temperament is by no means my invention. I just thought it's a good idea. So now the difference would be, of course, D and C half flat and D and B sharp in the notation. Another piece of mine which we're going to play in a few minutes is called Prismaschatten, and it has a 7-limit 12-tone row, which is derived from a melody I wrote, a simple melody, and it sounds like this. And that's the row, and then it goes on, still the row, another time. Oh, this is even the right version of the melody. Anyway, this is the melody, and this is the 12-tone row, and so I made a 12-tone matrix basically, but with with the just intonation ratios. Now, the original piece was actually a string quartet, and it was completely written in just intonation and with this proton matrix as a basis. And the melody is actually of a C section of the piece is the fundamental row, and then we've got the intro and the outro, which is also this row. And then I used the mirror of the row a lot for sections A and B and so on. I used a lot of different versions of the row throughout the piece and transpositions, and only later adapted the string quartet for our ensemble. And when we learned the piece, we actually played from the just intonation charts, because I just copied and transposed it from the string quartet charts, and it was easier at first, but then I translated it into 31 equal temperament. This is already the translated version. So there was, of course, the challenge of translating really a lot of pitches for the keyboards, because these are all 12 keys per octave, and so this resulted in rather challenging synthesizer work for Georg, and of course more than one keyboard. So if you want to demonstrate it, he actually uses key touch response, so dynamics basically, to alter the pitch by a diminished second of the note. So, now, I just heard we have 5 minutes. So basically, he did a lot of work transcribing it for the keyboards, and things like that glissando just ended up in something like this complex line here, and this text can be found on Georg's website. He talks about implementing pieces of mine for his keyboards, and it's Georg Vogel, georgvogel.net. So his name and net. And then we retuned the roads. Georg did this all himself. We retuned the roads to fit the tuning of the pieces. Maybe you want to play an octave. And as you can see, every octave is different, and unlike with this keyboard, it has every octave is the same 24 notes. Genau. Now this is the version of the notation I used for the string quartet, the just intonation notation, which was loosely based on the extended Helmholtz LSJ pitch notation, if anyone knows that one, and the Ben Johnston's way of notating for string quartet, and I just made my own version based around these ideas. So, as we don't have much more time, I'm going to leave you with this chart of the string quartet, and we're going to play the arrangement of the string quartet, and maybe if we have enough time, another piece of mine called Atz und Aves, which is an adaptation of a rather well-known melody.
presentation. I get so many ideas of where you could play, and where I think you are part of the jam session tonight anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But
surely.
I sometimes hear the Viennese heurigen rolling in and out. So that's my introduction. Questions from your parts? Are there any questions? Tired, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will make a question. I'm not a real musician. I play the drum and listen to
Could you
jazz.
speak louder, Michael?
I'm not a really musician, but I played a little bit drum in bands in the 80s, and I listen a little bit old jazz, funk, fusion music in your side, but you go very fine for my ears.
Mm-hmm.
So you make it too eclectic for my think, and you have to get good use. And, I like it.
Oh.
To say I like it.
Thank you.
Using for the future, I think.
And it's rhythmically very complex. Very complex. So, and you playing everything by heart almost.
Yeah,
Or is it just sort of...
No, that's actually a piece we don't play today.
We wanted to play this piece, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I have questions and comments.
Yeah.
I think that I see at least two reasons for your success. First of all, it's wonderful balance of new and traditional, because these jazz roots, they are heard for everybody. But another reason, and maybe it's more important, is it looks like a very holistic approach, because you think in the categories of 31 system in pitch optimization, but if, as far as I understood, as far as I heard, your rhythmic structures are very interesting also. So my question is, do you recognize your rhythmic organization? Because I'm a rhythmologist, but I'm interested in the basic underlying principles of our thinking.
Yeah.
What can you say about this side?
Yeah, we can say something. Yeah, we spend, so the rhythmic aspect is very prominent, that's true. We, in our compositions, it's always about a rhythmic idea and about precise rhythms to be playable, and about precise rhythms to really getting to a point where you can say that's precise enough to play together and precise compared to the computer. So we are mostly programming also the pieces and to get a reference of perfection, so to say. Yeah. So there are many rhythmic inspirations, especially from my compositions that may come from everywhere in the world, where I found music I found at least one interesting aspect. And for rhythmic ideas, I spent a lot of time about only practicing practicing rhythms constructed by low numbers. So 3 and 2. It's
additive approach.
Additive, right? It's additive rhythms.
It's additive approach, and the same is in your intervallic thinking. That's why I said about your holistic approach, that it makes your works very organic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because I know what you mean, because we use n-tonic measures, like n-tuplet measures, like not only 8, 4, 2, but so the rhythmic structure is based on whole number ratios in relation to each other. All those modulations are based on whole number ratios, and also the intervals are either whole number ratios or at least thought of as approximations of whole number ratios. So it's all based on whole number ratios. That's right.
Do you use a special? Sorry.
I don't know. Who's next? Then it's Agustin. You're next.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you are using, so the strings are normal tuning, E, A, D?
Nearly
tuned then.
It's E, A, D, G, but then it's C, F, so I have a constant fourths.
Okay, yeah.
But basically it's a kind of a standard tuning with just 2 different notes.
Okay.
So, but those are of course in 31 equal temperament. So it's not 12 tone equal tempered strings. The fourths of the strings are also tempered in 31 equal temperament.
They're widened about.
5 cents wider.
Yeah. Just a very quick point: if you don't know Melle Weiters in Amsterdam, then one of us can write his name down. You might be interested in, or he might be interested in you, because he also plays 31 tone or quarter comma mean tone guitar. And we were talking once recently. He wants to get a Rhodes and also tune it to the same scale. And here you are already doing that. And, has a blues background, but he's very experimental.
Yeah, I think I know him. I saw a video on YouTube of him playing a very spherical with a lot of glissandi and...
maybe you mean David Fitzsinski, no?
No, he plays fretless usually. But this guy plays 31 equal tempered guitar.
That's interesting.
And 43 as well. Anyway, yeah.
Really?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get in touch.
Really, writing his name down would be a good idea.
Thank you, very interesting. You mentioned Ben Johnson's accidentals, or Ben Johnson, just like you, use kind of serialism, really just intonation, but also he uses the ratios of the just intonation harmonic series for the other aspects of the music, rhythm, tempo. I just wanted to ask you to comment on if Ben Jonson influenced your own ideas in your Islam at all, because it seems that it goes beyond using of accidentals.
Well, yes. I mean, I learned of Ben Jonson quite late in my musical upbringing. So I already was thinking about writing in whole number ratios, and also about the rhythmic complexity and about the serialism. So Ben Jonson influenced me in getting a feel for what can be done with a string quartet, with the sound of a string quartet in just intonation, and how far that can go, because he wrote a lot of string quartets that way. And his notation was really inspiring to me, but also I saw that that's not the notation I want to use, so I adopted some accidental ideas of his to use only the prime numbers themselves, like 13 and so on, as accidentals, and that was cool. So that was the biggest thing for me, to be able to notate it in a way that people can read it, and also playing with really great string quartets and getting an idea of how that can sound. But yeah,
so
I don't know it that long.
It's mostly coincidence.
Yeah, it's mostly coincidence.
But Ben
like,
Jonson does that all the time. He makes tone rolls of the kind of prime
yeah, and he's really old.
And as a matter of fact, he combines them with jazz rhythms and pop rhythms, or even the hymns and stuff like that, and the tenor string quartets, which is really interesting, because I see a lot of elements in your music which is just kind of similar to what Ben Jonson does.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I have a small another question about the instrument. I know the clarinet in the middle, and it's an analog, and you have sides inside.
Yeah, strings.
So you maybe I don't hear it before. You make special tuning in the sides inside.
You mean the strings?
The strings.
Yeah, the
inside
strings.
of the clarinet.
There are strings. It's like basically
for your
working
music,
like an inlay.
your system.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
It's very easily tunable. So it's like a clavichord basically.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So you make it different, this instrument, for your special music.
Right.
Right.
There is a second aspect beside the tuning. I change the hammers to make it sound more bright, more overtones, and so it's not the sound you get out of a normal clarinet.
Because I think about Richter Herbst and Wolf Wedel, they built a ecumenic organ in the 70s, maybe you know.
Yeah.
It's in the house here too.
No.
So it's always interesting about modifying instruments
right,
for the system.
One last question, maybe it's okay. Yeah.
I also am interested, do you use also, I'm sure you do, improvisation, so that you have free possibilities, and do you have also found a system how to notate them? Because like in jazz music you have the chords, but you could also go further, of course, with the accidentals, of course, nowadays. Do you have special notation for that?
Yeah. We've got actually used in the pieces we've played two different. The one I've used in the second piece we played is based on the Generalbass. I don't know the English word. It's about from a bass note, naming all the enharmonically, naming the intervals enharmonically. So this is confusing and not confusing. It's displaying what it is, enharmonically correct, which can be exactly what it is, the interval, like David said before, a seventh or a sixth, but it's precise. Yeah.
And I go about it more in a jazz kind of way, so we've got a chord, and usually I don't even give it a name, but there are notes in the chord, and so you've got a few possibilities of scales with maybe pentatonics, or maybe large scales with, I don't know, 10 notes, which fit this chord. And so I just try to find the scales that fit and play them over the chords. And also, sometimes it's just the bass line, and that is of course really open to interpretation, which chord might be meant by that bass note. And so it's kind of a jazz approach, which is in an equally tempered system that has a closed circle of fifths. It's a lot of notes, but it's doable. It's not like just intonation. with unlimited pitches, so I can really go about it in a
This is your analyzation you're using here. What can I use and
Yeah, what sounds good to me.
Giving somebody the piece, then he has to do the analyzation himself.
Yes, that's true.
But with the general bus system, you could give it to somebody.
Yes. But adding the tuning, adding the information about the tuning. And there's even a third method we use in so-called jazz improvisation. There's a difference between playing a scale over a chord and then finding notes that fit to the widened space of a chord by using transpositions and different accidentals and so on. And that was especially used in my improvisation for the second tune we were playing, which was based on thirds.